So real quickly, Jean-Philippe Paradis is president of the Octane Racing Group. The good news, as I said, we're getting the Grand Prix confirmed now for 4 more years. We spoke earlier in the afternoon, and I began by asking him, what do we do differently this year that things turned out so well?
What we've done over the last, call it 12 months, is we went over around the world to try to see which Grand Prix could we actually take some good best practices and learn from and try to implement them at our site. So as an example, the access, we try to find ways to make it much better by looking at other Grand Prix. I'm going to give you an example. The one in Netherlands and Zandvoort, they're very fantastic at that. So we took a lot of their ideas and see how can we do this. Obviously, we're in Ireland. It's not that easy. There was only 2 bridges. So we've worked with the Victoria Bridge also to give access to F1 personnel, which was actually great. And we actually also opened a site from the South Shore with Saint-Lambert. We actually also implemented a new app to help people come across. And we actually worked on creating some mobility poles with shuttles and making sure that taxis and Ubers don't go to the center of the island to the casino. They had to drop up somewhere else. So all of this made the experience much better and faster for people to come to our race. So that's one example. Another example would have been the infrastructure. We try to recreate some of the nightlife in the paddocks to try to enhance the infrastructure there, to create a very much of a magical moment for all the team members that are there, the F1 personnel, and also special guests. We invested in new hospitality tents and created some kind of a cottage section where people could actually celebrate the Canadian culture. So these are 2 elements that we've actually looked and we inspired ourselves from what's happening around the world.
By the way, I'll tell you, Mr. Paradis, I was very impressed that you tried to sell me on the Grand Prix here in Montreal by saying how great things were. Everyone loves the Grand Prix. That's not a question. I wonder, though, was there any point where you were worried that we would get an extension here?
No, I was never worried because, first of all, like I said, we have very strong assets that actually makes our Grand Prix very much fantastic and popular. When you interview drivers, they'll often put Canada as one of the top 3, just so you know. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, that being said, we needed to really enhance the experience for our fans and the F1 personnel. And I knew I had an idea on how we could resolve some of those opportunities. So I was always confident as a team we would actually be successful. One thing that is very important is, organizing this Grand Prix is actually an ecosystem of partnership. You have the federal government, the provincial government, you'll have the city, you have Parc Jean-Drapeau, you have Tourism Montreal. So we all came together. We created a very strong team to where we established a 3-year plan with tons of ideas on how we can upgrade this race to become a top quartile race. And we all came together. And really, this partnership redesign is actually one of the things that makes me the most proud of, because as a team, we came across and we became very agile. So I was never worried about that.
Okay.
Also successful.
I will point out the 4-year extension also involved, you mentioned the various levels of government here, provincial, federal, again, municipal. There's also an investment of about $115, $117 million over the next 4 years. What's that going to be used to do?
So those investments will be actually leveraged to invest in some permanent structure, grandstands, improve the experience at the middle of the island, making sure the paddock is also meeting what is the Formula One demand. I'm going to give you an example. You're probably aware there's going to be another team joining next year, which is Cadillac. So there's a couple of things like that we will want to do. Facilities around also the beach. So this is where some of these investments will go, and this is going to make the park actually much better, not only during the Grand Prix, but for the rest of the year. Because remember, this park is actually being enjoyed by a lot of users outside the Grand Prix, and the goal is to make sure that these investments are actually re-given back to the community.
I'm curious, by the way, was that investment, that extra 117, was that something demanded that was sort of a condition to be able to get it back, or how did that work?
So just so you know, I guess the dollars you're talking about, you're referring to probably the race fees and all that. So that's part of the overall the overall cost of having a race here and making it available to everybody. So It's not something that was unexpected, just to put things in perspective. And what you need to know is the public authorities, they do make a revenue share of the tickets that we sell, the promoter, okay? And that money is reinvested back. So although it looks like it's an investment, it is. But there's a lot of money that is going to come back in the ecosystem because the people that will come to our race will actually give back that money back to the public authorities to funds for those investments. Plus, there's also all the money that the tourism industry will be making by all these people coming to Montreal. What you need to know, maybe one stat that is very important, is when you look at the people who attend our Grand Prix, and again, these stats are from last year. I don't have the latest, but I'll get it soon. There's roughly 30% of people that come from international, which is United States or Europe or even Japan and Asia. You'll have around 40% that come from rest of Canada, and the rest is actually local. So there's real money coming from outside our market, which actually contributes to our economy, and we're very proud of that.
One last question. We know now, of course, the race is going to be scheduled in May, not in June next year. Does that make a difference one way or the other? What do you think? Does that change anything significantly?
Well, there's an element where people will say, oh, the temperature might be a bit cooler. We did our study. It's roughly 1.5 degrees, if you look at the historical. But the main difference will probably be this one, is that to give us some more, call it edge in regards to the preparation, we'll start the building our site at the end of fall this year. So when park users are no longer coming to the park because it's just too cold, think of mid-November as an example. This is where we will start to build. So compared to what we used to do in the past, this is how we will de-risk all of that. So I don't expect anything else other than, you know what, it will open the summer season earlier, and I expect that this long weekend will actually be a very good fit for everybody. Yeah. And the last thing that's very, very important that everybody needs to know, one of the main reasons that we've done this is actually to contribute to make our world more sustainable. Because when you think about it, F1 was coming to Miami, going back to Europe for 3 weeks, for 3 Grand Prix, coming back to Canada only for 1 race and going back to Europe. It didn't make sense from a sustainability perspective. And as they have a goal, and we have a goal to be carbon neutral by 2030, that adjustment in the schedule was actually the right thing to do for our communities and also F1 and everybody.
All right. Mr. Paradis, I thank you for the time, and I guess congratulations. It's nice to know we had this race for 4 more years. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and have a great day.
Jean-Philippe Paradis, president of the Octane Group. That's the official promoter of the Grand Prix. And yes, in case you missed the news yesterday, 4 more years, 2035, that we will have the Grand Prix here in Montreal. And again, just a reminder, starting in May next year, right? Not June, in May. Victoria Day weekend is when the race is going to be held.